the scream of the serve, the rhythmic, percussive times, thwack times of the ball against the glass, the desperate scramble backward before a perfectly executed times. Chiquita times drops cruelly at your feet. This is the new sound of global sport, a sound that has conquered the world, not through brute force, but through elegant inclusion, an unexpected revolution played out on a 20x 10-meter stage. Why, in this age of hyper-specialized athletics and digital distraction, when every sport demands years of dedicated, isolating practice, has Padel exploded from a forgotten Mexican backyard experiment to the planet's fastest-growing racket sport, drawing in everyone from children and seniors to the jet-set and professional athletes? The answer is a thrilling, dramatic narrative of accidental invention, aristocratic endorsement, deep-seated sociological appeal, and a technical design so brilliant it acts as a magnet for skill, friendship, and adrenaline, a destiny that began with a frustrated businessman and a patch of jungle. The story begins, not on a pristine, floodlit court, but in the sun-baked soil of Acapulco, Mexico, in 1969, a moment of invention driven by frustration and geographical constraint. The protagonist is Enrique Corcuera, a Mexican businessman and avid tennis fan who owned a magnificent home in the exclusive Las Brisas district. Corcuera, who had once experimented with paddle tennises in the United States, a game inspired by tennis but played on a smaller court using a paddle instead of a racket, wanted a court on his land, but he faced a spatial dilemma. His ingenious solution was to adapt a piece of land, installing a small court measuring 20 meters long by 10 meters wide, but he couldn't stop the balls from flying into his neighbor's property and annoying the jungle's flora and fauna. The true genius, however, lay in what he added: walls on the sides and back, enclosing the space in a 3-meter-high cage. Initially, this was merely a practical defense, a way to prevent the balls from perpetually flying into the yard or bouncing over the defensive line into the neighbor's house, turning the game into an annoyance. This improvisation, which some records state was initially called rebo tennis, was refined by trying different balls until the tennis ball was selected. The unintentional consequence was revolutionary. Bouncing off the walls made the game far more fun and fluid, eliminating the constant interruption of retrieving a rogue ball, a dramatic shift that defined the new sport's character, transforming a simple game of boundaries into a strategic contest of angles and rebounds. The name itself, Padel, derives from the English word paddle, meaning shovel or racket, a term that eventually secured its place in the Spanish language after it was included in the Dictionary of the Spanish Language, RAE, a formal validation of its cultural conquest. This early iteration, though crude, was the crucible of the modern sport, drawing inspiration from earlier racket sports like platform tennis, which originated in the United States during the 1,920 seconds, featuring raised platforms and solid paddles, but with Corcuera's walls providing the decisive, transformative twist. The sport's explosive propagation was a direct result of old-world aristocracy and the influence of the jet set, transforming the backyard game into a symbol of prestige and exclusivity. The key agent of this global leap was Enrique Corcuera's friend, Prince Alfonso de Hohenlohe-Langenburg, a powerful real estate developer and founder of the legendary Marbella Club on the Spanish Costa del Sol. After playing the game at Las Brisas, the prince became utterly enchanted by the sheer dynamism of Padel. In a pivotal moment in the sport's history, he transported the concept across the Atlantic in 1974, building 2 courts at his hotel club, the very first Padel courts constructed in Spain. Importantly, the prince introduced a critical architectural modification. The initial sidewalls were replaced with a wire fence, a change that further shaped the dynamics of play by allowing balls to rebound unpredictably and making it more challenging for players to rely solely on hitting against a solid surface. The prestige of the Marbella Club cemented Padel's association with high society, Between 1980 and 1990, these courts hosted the glamorous Pro-Am tournaments. These events were a spectacular collision of talent and fame, featuring celebrity and aristocratic participants like Enrique Iglesias Preisler, Patsy Andon, Princess Zora of Morocco, and the Duke of Bourbon, with reports in major Spanish magazines like Times Hola Times and Times La Semana Times, dramatically boosting the sport's visibility and fashionability across the nation. This high-profile endorsement ensured Padel was not seen as a novelty, but as an aspirational, trendy pursuit. Even legendary Spanish tennis champion Manolo Santana, one of the first Spanish tennis players to win Wimbledon and a highly respected figure in the world of racket sports, began practicing it frequently, organizing tournaments on the Costa del Sol and becoming one of the sport's major promoters, effectively bridging the gap between tennis and Padel and ensuring clubs quickly began building their own courts across the country. From Spain, the contagion spread with unprecedented speed, first leaping the Atlantic to the vast plains of South America. In 1975, Julio Mendedai, an Argentine friend of Alfonso de Hohenlohe, imported the game to his homeland. The adoption in Argentina was explosive and absolute, with Padel achieving unprecedented importance, soaring to become the nation's second most practiced sport, lived with a passion and fury that matched its football obsession. This rapid growth was fueled by influential national pioneers like Horacio Alvarez Clemente and Oscar Cacho Nicastro, and by Argentine polo players who discovered the game in Marbella and became its natural ambassadors back home, attracted by the fact that the new, easy, and fun game, with cheap facilities, required minimal financial outlay compared to polo. The formation of the Argentine Padel Association, APA, in 1988, led by Nicastro, was pivotal in formalizing the sport, defining its principles, and planning its exponential development across the region. This institutionalization set the stage for the first historic international matches between Spain and Argentina in January 1988 inches, Mar del Plata, Buenos Aires. The Spanish delegation, led by Captain Don Rafael Silvela, faced a fierce Argentine team, and the intensity of this initial contest sparked a bilateral rivalry that would define the sport's competitive landscape for decades. The commitment to this rivalry led to the decision to organize an annual Spain-Argentina match for 3 years, fueling the competitive fire and driving technical development to an elite level. A dramatic turning point in the sport's professional life occurred in Argentina in 1989 with the invention of the Crystal Palace court. Designed by Platense coach Jorge Galeotti, this was the world's first detachable and transportable glass court. Its introduction in Mar del Plata was a tremendous success, particularly because the glass walls allowed viewers and television cameras to see 100% of the court, capturing the rapid, dynamic action without obstruction, and transforming Padel into a high-octane, commercially viable spectator sport. This innovation ushered in the age of traveling Padel, enabling major professional tournaments to be set up in any outdoor or indoor facility, surrounded by stands for massive crowds, liberating the sport from fixed, expensive concrete structures. The Crystal Palace was so instrumental that, for the 1992 First World Championship in Madrid, the glass court was shipped directly from Argentina to La Cartuja, an island in Seville, becoming the first glass court ever used in Europe, a symbolic act of South American competitive dominance and technical foresight. This World Championship saw 8 countries participate, but Argentina proved its initial dominance, winning both the men's and women's titles by defeating Spain in both finals, an early victory that sealed the two nations as the foundational powers of global Padel. This drive for international recognition eventually culminated in the creation of the International Padel Federation in Madrid in 1991, an ambitious and forward-looking institution that nonetheless remains humble, constantly referencing its Acapulco origins and identity as it shepherds the sport's global integration. The global appeal of Padel is not merely historical or sociological. It is profoundly architectural and technical, stemming from key differences that deliberately make it more inclusive and accessible than tennis. A design that minimizes physical strength and maximizes strategic thinking. Crucially, Padel is predominantly a doubles sport, fostering a strong social environment and promoting healthy habits, an inclusive aspect that engages people of all ages and backgrounds. The court itself is smaller, a completely enclosed rectangle, 10 meters wide and 20 meters long, and the presence of the walls, which are an integral part of the court, ensures longer, more fluid rallies, making it fun and dynamic to watch and play. The rules mandate an underhand serve, hit below the waist after bouncing the ball once, a deliberate adaptation designed to reduce the serve's dominance and enhance rally length, emphasizing skillful, strategic play over brute power, allowing novices to immediately engage in long, satisfying points. Furthermore, the evolution of equipment has matched the sport's growth. The initial simple wooden paddles gave way to sophisticated, high-performance gear. This technological arms race saw the appearance of the rubber paddle, thanks to Ricardo Cano, which brought the game to a new level by significantly boosting speed and power, rapidly evolving into the high-tech masterpieces of today, crafted from advanced materials such as carbon fiber and fiberglass. Even the tennis-adapted balls were eventually refined specifically for Padel to enhance playability by balancing bounce and speed. The modern game has evolved further, with rules refined to allow balls to be played times off, times the court, with players going out through the court's doors to continue the point, a unique and thrilling tactical dimension absent in similar racket sports, allowing for dramatic, impossible-seeming retrieves. This combination of a small, contained court, a social doubles format, and rules that prioritize strategy, communication, and finesse over raw power is why Padel has succeeded in integrating women, children, and passive individuals, becoming a widely inclusive and attractive sport for all skill levels. A true global phenomenon of the 21st century. The competitive scene confirms this unstoppable rise. Padel has been consolidated as an officially recognized sport in Spain since 1993, and its professional circuits are now a global, multi-million-dollar business. The World Padel Tour, which replaced the Padel Pro Tour in 2013, brought together the world's best players in tournaments initially concentrated in Spain, but rapidly expanding across South America, Mexico, and several European countries, gaining official recognition from the FIP, with which it partnered to recognize its trials, categories, and points system, bringing much-needed consistency to the professional calendar. The sheer success and business opportunity even spurred the creation of a powerful competitor, the premier Padel Tour, launched by Nasser Al-Khelafi, president of Paris Saint-Germain, along with Qatar Sports Investments, which intends to meet the WPT head-on by increasing annual tournaments across Asia, Europe, and South America, with the battle between these two circuits demonstrating the monumental financial stakes now involved in the sport. These circuits showcase the breathtaking evolution of the game, moving from the strategic finesse of Argentinian Fernando Belasteguin and Juan Martín Díaz, who dominated the world rankings for an iconic 13 consecutive seasons with over 165 trophies, a record of consistency that may never be broken, to the modern, highly physical, and explosive style of players like Juan Lebrón and Alejandro Galán. Lebrón and Galán are credited with initiating this new era, earning 33 trophies and the top ranking for 4 consecutive seasons with a high-octane style that rewards power and speed, often leaping over the fence for dramatic outside-the-court saves. The women's game has been equally pivotal in the sport's growth, led by legends like Carolina Navarro, the most decorated player in history, with 100 trophies and 9 consecutive seasons as the top-ranked player, who inspired countless women to take up the sport. Today, women's padel is dominated by physical, explosive pairings like Ariana Sanchez and Paulita Josemaria, the current world #1 team, whose success further highlights the sport's inclusive nature. The expansion is now global. After booming in Spain, Padel fever swept across Europe, where countries like Sweden, Italy, and France are witnessing skyrocketing growth, a surge fueled by the sport's adaptability to indoor winter conditions, and the fact that building 3 Padel courts is financially equivalent to building 1 full-size tennis court. Sweden, for instance, has successfully developed a strong female scene, with numerous clubs and leagues, specifically bolstering women's participation. Beyond Europe, Padel has seen surprising surges in the Middle East, with luxury facilities built in the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar, and in Asia, where countries like Japan and the Philippines are drawn to its simplicity and minimal space requirements compared to traditional tennis. The reason everyone is playing Padel, therefore, is a powerful combination of fate and design. A sport that was simple enough to be invented by accident, but was complex enough to be embraced by royalty, and is strategically structured to provide an engaging, social, and achievable athletic challenge for anyone, anywhere in the world. A relentless wave of popularity that shows no signs of breaking.